Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about the places that I feel like are must-see places in New York City. I obviously don't have all of my favorite places on that list because a lot of them aren't like touristy places, and I kind of wanted this list to be for someone who is just coming to New York for maybe the first or second time and hasn't seen everything that they want to see. So some of these things are going to be obvious places, and some of these things you may have not heard about or thought about going to. But in my opinion, these are the most exciting or the coolest places that really portray New York as a whole and kind of show what New York is all about. So the first place is super obvious, but that for me is Central Park. If you step foot in New York City, you have to go to Central Park. It is beautiful and amazing, and it's so surreal that around you are all of these huge gigantic buildings and people hustling and bustling and like business people and cabs and horses and blah blah blah, but then you step foot into Central Park and it's like a whole nother world. You feel like you're not even in New York City anymore, but it's beautiful and an amazing place to just take a stroll, take a walk, take photos. My number 2 is another obvious place, but that is Times Square. I have only been to Times Square a handful of times, and it's usually to show people who have never been, but I definitely think it is something that you at least need to see once, and once is probably enough. But I would go at night and just see all the lights and the screens, but it's definitely not my favorite place to hang out for sure, and most people who live in New York will say they try and stay away from Times Square as much as possible because it is very touristy and super duper busy. My number 3 is to walk the Brooklyn Bridge. I think this is super freaking cool to not only be on the bridge and walking it, but also to look out and see the water and the buildings. You can kind of get a view of the skyline and the cars driving by and everyone walking on the bridge. I just think it's a really cool atmosphere to take pictures, to hang out, and at least walk it once. I think that it's really cool, and a lot of people walk it every single day or ride their bike over it on a regular basis, but I just think it's amazing and a really cool experience. And also it's like, where else are you gonna like walk across this huge gigantic bridge? I think the architecture is amazing of the actual bridge, but also all the architecture that you get to see from the buildings. Definitely walk one of the bridges. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Brooklyn Bridge. So another thing I think is a must-see if it is your first time or first few times in New York is to go to 5th Avenue and walk around, because that's where the Rockefeller Center is. The Radio City Music Hall is around there. So there are just a lot of really cool places that you've probably all seen on TV and heard about around the 5th Avenue area. But especially around Christmas time, it's beautiful, but obviously any time of the year it's amazing. And I just think all around the Rockefeller Center is like iconic and so New York. The Rockefeller Center has this thing called Top of the Rock, where you go up to the top of the Rockefeller Center. You can see like a really good view of the city and all the buildings and stuff. I've only ever been at night, but I think it's so cool. Obviously, like the top of the Empire State Building is also a really famous place to like see the view of the city, but I think it's better to go to the top of the Rock because you're able to see the Empire State Building in the view. If you're on top of the Empire State Building, then you don't get to see it. So then around that area as well is the Plaza Hotel, which I think is super cool because growing up I loved Eloise. In the movies she lived in the Plaza Hotel, so I just think that's really cool. And that area is also amazing. Underneath the plaza / in the plaza is the Plaza Food Hall, which is really cool and has bakeries and Italian food and seafood, all of that stuff. Obviously, like, I'm vegan, so I don't necessarily say like go eat there. It's also right by Central Park, so you can just go from there straight to Central Park if you wanted to. Then another obvious place is Grand Central Station, or now they call it Grand Central Terminal. If you have seen or are a big Gossip Girl fan, you have to go to Grand Central because that's obviously like an iconic scene where Serena arrives in Grand Central coming back from her hiatus. There are a lot of cool shops and stores, and there's also a dining hall. So now I'm going to talk about my 2 favorite museums. I love museums, and I think it's a huge part of the culture here in New York City. Everyone loves art and history and just appreciates it a lot. So I think that it's definitely a must-see to go to Number one, the Met, which everyone knows about obviously, and also another Gossip Girl, you know, sitting on the steps of the Met. That's also a beautiful area, very high class area, which is cool to see, but that's one of my favorite museums. They just have a lot of different kinds of art, and they also have some history in there, and I just think it's a really good, like, cultivated museum. It's not too much of one or the other. It has some architecture in it, some statues, some paintings, some photos, some weird history stuff about like old circuses and different cultures and stuff, but I just think it's amazing. It's also like the actual museum building is beautiful, so that's also really cool to take pictures in front of it and of the architecture of the building. So yeah, check that out. And then my absolute favorite museum in New York City, because I just love history more than I love art, which is the Museum of Natural History. Duh. It's amazing. Seriously, so cool. If you've seen Night at the Museum, it literally like looks like that. Like, it is so freaking cool. They have all those like miniature little villages, like the cowboys and stuff in that movie. It's all there, and the like Dum Dum Bring Me Gum Gum or something like that. That statue is there. They've got like dinosaur bones. They have a bunch of different animals like preserved and like stuffed, obviously, from all different places all over the world. They have a part that's like underwater where you get to see a bunch of like different sea creatures and stuff. Obviously it's a museum, so they're not like alive, but it's cool to see all of that. They have a ton of different stuff on different cultures and the way that they lived. They have little movie rooms where you can watch movies and videos about other cultures and people, which I seriously love, and I think it's amazing. So even if you don't love history that much, I definitely think you should just go check it out. And majority of all museums in New York City are donation based, so they like suggest a price of like $20 per person, but if you wanted, you could give 50 cents. It's a good thing. If you have a really low budget, you can pay whatever you're able to pay to these museums, so I think that that's cool. They also do that at a lot of churches and cathedrals and stuff. Okay, so this next place is definitely a must-see, which is Chinatown. If you are in New York, please go to Chinatown. It is so cool. It's literally like stepping into a different world, and I think that's so cool and so amazing and really interesting how it cultivated and came to be, as well as Little Italy. I don't love Little Italy as much. I think if you kind of just go once or like walk through really quickly once, you're good to go. But Chinatown is really cool to go multiple times, to hang out, to eat there. They have an amazing vegan place called Buddha Bodai or Badai, or I don't know, I'll spell it out for you right here. It's so good, and they have the best vegan dumplings, so definitely check it out if you are in Chinatown. But they also have just really cool stores and a lot of family-owned businesses, and everyone's super friendly there. And then I have one last major place that you absolutely have to go to, which is Liberty and Ellis Island. I think it's so cool. Another thing that just shows so much of the history of New York City, and I think that it's amazing what you can learn there, but that's something that takes an entire day if you really want to see a lot, and most of it, I don't even think you could see all of it in one day. But if you are really excited to go and like really want to take it all in, then I suggest going like right early in the morning and staying until closing, which is around like 6, I think. So you can just take the ferry from downtown Manhattan and take it to Liberty Island, see the Statue of Liberty, walk around a little bit. You can get little souvenirs and stuff while you're there, and then you hop back on the ferry, and the ferry will take you to Ellis Island, and that's where you literally, your jaw will drop and you'll just be like, how is this even real? It has a bunch of buildings which used to be like an immigration center and a hospital and housing for immigrants or people who were coming over from all over the place, and you walk through and you get to be in the building that all these people came to America in. You get to hear a lot of the stories. That's a tip. Bring your headphones, because they don't give you headphones, but they have a little like handheld thing that you can like listen to and walk around and hear different stories of people who came through Ellis Island and their story of why they came and how they got here and their experiences here. I think it's just an awesome piece of history for sure, and me just talking about it does not do it justice, so definitely go check it out for yourself. I also have a vlog where me and my sisters went to Liberty and Ellis Island, and I will leave that in the description box down below, so check it out. Then I just wanted to mention two few other things. If you are a huge baseball fan or if you just like love sports, definitely go see a Yankees game. A lot of the times they're like 15 bucks for a ticket, so that's awesome. Check it out, and I think just that area is really cool and everyone gets super excited for it and has on their jerseys, and I just think it's cool to be able to say like I went to a Yankees game. And then also two things that I wanted to mention that I haven't done yet but I am going to do pretty soon, which is going to Coney Island. I can't tell you if it's like a must go, a must see, a must do thing because I haven't gone yet, but I think it's gonna be pretty cool. So maybe on your like second or third trip to New York City, check it out. And also the One World Trade Center. I've been waiting for my dad to come to New York City to visit because he really wants to go see it, and so I didn't want to go without him. But I think it's an important thing to go see and to remember everyone who died in 9/11, just to kind of pay tribute to that history of New York and of the United States, because it is a huge piece of our history. So I think that's a must see as well. But that's pretty much it. That's all that's on my list. I could go on and on for hours talking about amazing things to see in New York City, but this is kind of my like rough list of the best places for tourists to check out. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, all of the above. The links to that will be in the description box down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, bedheads. Love you lots.